Kata Manabu died, or at least that is what his story might as well be called. Back when he first graduated, he was excited about his future. He hated studying, but after finally getting hired by a big company, he thought his life was about to turn around. But that dream did not last long. The company he joined turned out to be a black company, and like in every reincarnation story, he gets hit by Truck Kuin. Now the real story begins. After dying, Kata suddenly finds himself drifting in a strange dark space. Looking back at his life, he realizes something painful. He spent all his time studying and working, yet never once did anything he truly enjoyed. Confused, he wonders why he still has a body if he is supposed to be dead. Just as he is thinking that, a blinding light suddenly appears. From that light, a girl with wings descends before him. She introduces herself calmly as the goddess Iris, greeting Kato as if she had been expecting him. Kato immediately believes her. Without hesitation, Iris explains that his death was not supposed to happen. Because of a small error in fate, he was forced to suffer repeatedly in that harsh life, and died without ever being rewarded for it. Iris explains that since his death was caused by a mistaken fate, heaven has decided to compensate him. Kato will be given the chance to live again, this time in a medieval fantasy world, and as an extra reward, he is allowed to make one wish, anything he wants before being sent there. The goddess continues explaining the details of his new life, but Kato barely hears any of it. Instead, he is completely distracted by a different thought. Is she way too cute? Up close, Iris is unbelievably beautiful. Her gentle expression, soft voice, and long flowing golden hair make her look like a living work of art. Her elegant figure, slim waist, and graceful presence make her seem almost unreal. To Kato, there is only one conclusion. She is ridiculously his type. The moment the thought hits him, Kato does not hesitate. Being a straightforward man, he immediately decides what he wants most. He wants to marry her. Meanwhile, Iris continues explaining the wish system. If he wants, he could gain incredible abilities, master every kind of magic, obtain powerful items, or even summon the strongest familiar in history. When Kato asks if he can really wish for anything, she simply smiles and confirms it. So without wasting another second, Kato makes his wish. With complete seriousness, he grabs her hand and declares, "Marry me and come with me." Iris calmly acknowledges his request, realizing that this is the wish he truly chose. Hearing his wish, Iris freezes in shock. Her face turns bright red as she grabs her cheeks, completely flustered by the sudden proposal. Kato awkwardly asks if she dislikes him since they only just met. Panicking, Iris rushes toward him crying and blurts out that it is not like that. Kato explains that he prefers someone serious and sincere. He also admits that he spent his life only studying and never even had a girlfriend. Iris then quietly says that she already checked what kind of person he was in his previous life. Seeing how serious he is, Iris blushes. Meanwhile, Kato thinks to himself that if he left a good impression on her, maybe his old life was not meaningless after all. Still, she wants to be sure, so she asks him again if he is really certain. After all, he could wish for anything. Without any hesitation, Kato shouts with complete conviction that there is nothing he wants more than her. His intense declaration leaves Iris stunned. Blushing heavily, she nervously realizes that if this is truly his wish, she has to grant it. After a moment of flustered hesitation, Iris shyly grabs his sleeve and quietly answers that she will marry him. The sudden acceptance makes Kato freeze for a second, his heart pounding. Iris then gently reminds him that a goddess never goes back on her word. Hearing this, he starts to shake, becoming flustered as he shouts yes. Just as things settle down, another girl suddenly pops up from the water, saying she will take over from here. Both Kato and Iris are shocked when Iris immediately recognizes her. It is Skuld sighs and teases Iris, asking if she is really quitting her duties just to get married. Kato looks at her curiously, thinking she is small and cute, while proudly referring to Iris as his wife. Iris happily squeezes Skuld and apologizes for leaving the responsibility to her. Sculled, slightly annoyed but calm, says it is fine. She even jokes that maybe she should try tempting a reincarnator herself someday. A magic circle suddenly forms beneath Kadu and Iris. Sculled casually waves goodbye, wishing the newlyweds a good trip and hoping the inconveniences of medieval life will motivate them to work hard. As the teleportation activates, she cheerfully sends them off with her best wishes. While the transfer begins, Iris grabs Kata's sleeve and shyly asks him to make sure she is happy. Seeing her adorable expression makes Kata's heart race as he blurts out that she is too cute, trying to act confident. Katu firmly promises that he will make her happy. Iris smiles and says she intends to properly support him as his wife, even telling him he does not need to be so formal with her. Kata then confidently reaches out his hand and introduces himself again. "Nice to meet you, Iris." Iris shyly smiles and accepts his hand, softly replying yes, as she calls him Manabu-san. The magic circle above them begins to glow intensely as the teleportation activates. Moments later, they drop onto the ground in a completely different world. Looking around the surroundings, Manabu realizes they have arrived in another world, standing in the middle of what appears to be a forest. Seeing their situation, Iris apologizes gloomily, saying he could have wished for a prime house from the start. Manabu quickly stops her and confidently says that it does not matter, because what matters most is that he already has a cute wife beside him. Flustered by the sudden compliment, Iris's face turns bright red as she shyly thanks him. Seeing her melt in frustration, he thinks to himself that she is really cute. Manabu says they should head to a town since they still need to figure out food, clothes, and shelter, and he does not want Iris sleeping outside. Hearing this, Iris happily declares that she will use her powers as a goddess to move them to another town. Manabu asks her if she can really do that. She happily replies that all goddesses can do it. Iris says she can do it because all goddesses have that ability, feeling relieved that she can finally be useful. But remembering her past, Iris quietly mutters that beginners should not be expected to suddenly do things they were never taught, hinting that she struggled a lot as a rookie goddess. After a moment, she clears her throat and prepares herself. Iris raises her hands and activates a spell called Holy Teleport. Seeing her, he gets really excited, but nothing seems to happen. In the end, she started to panic and tries it again and again. Afterward, she goes on by asking him to wait for a second, and Iris pulls out a manual titled Easy to Understand. Falling from the Heavenly World Volume 1, Company Secrets. Blushing heavily, she checks the book while Manabu watches in confusion. Realizing that she actually needs instructions to use the spell, Iris nervously explains that once a goddess leaves heaven, she can no longer use its systems. Hearing that, Manabu says it makes sense, but Iris begins crying and apologizing, saying she is useless. While she is feeling sad, Manabu thinks to himself that he did not ask her to come here because of her godly powers. Suddenly, something rustles in the forest. Iris warns that it might be dangerous, but Manabu calmly picks up a stick and says he will handle it. To him, this situation is nothing compared to the time a homeowner chased him with a katana during a sales visit, leaving Iris shocked by the kind of job he used to have. Manabu recalls that his company was extremely pushy with sales. One day, a furious homeowner snapped and attacked him, swinging a weapon at him. Looking back, Manabu realizes it was practically something out of a Yakuza story. While checking the area, Manabu climbs up for a better view and realizes they're deep inside a forest. From the height, he spots a town far in the distance and points it out, realizing they might actually have a place to head toward. But when he jumps down, Manabu lands badly and twists his ankle. Iris rushes over in panic, asking if he's okay, but he brushes it off and says he can still walk if he pushes through the pain. Determined to help, Iris suddenly remembers that she might be able to heal it with her own power. As Manabu questions how that's possible, when she said she couldn't use heavenly powers, Iris calmly explains that this isn't heaven's system. Instead, healing is her own natural ability as the goddess of healing, and she begins using her power to treat his injury. Although she apologizes, saying she cannot completely heal it without heaven's energy. The pain disappears enough for him to stand again. Manabu jumps up in excitement, amazed that it does not hurt anymore. He loudly praises Iris for how incredible her power is. His over-the-top praise makes Iris blush heavily with embarrassment. Seeing her reaction only makes Manabu think she is even cuter when she is shy. As they talk, he tells her to follow him. Rustling sounds begin coming from the bushes, and Iris pops out from inside the bush. She says there is no confirmation that there will not be any monsters. Manabu immediately becomes alert and tells Iris to get ready to run if something dangerous appears. Iris panics and says she cannot do something like fight monsters, standing protectively in front of her. Manabu calmly says he will handle it if anything shows up, explaining that he married her because he wants to cherish and protect her. Hearing Manabu say that he married her because he wants to cherish her makes Iris blush deeply, her heart pounding with emotion. She lowers her head shyly and quietly says she understands. While the rustling continues in the forest, Iris suddenly notices a small house nearby and excitedly points it out to Manabu. Manabu says he already spotted it earlier when he climbed a tree, and they head toward it together. They carefully enter the house and look around inside. The place is dusty and clearly has not been used for a long time. Manabu says they should borrow it for now as a temporary shelter. Manabu jokingly says that if the house's owner shows up, he will just apologize, since he became really good at apologizing from working at his old company. Even though Iris is a little worried by that, their newlywed life in another world quietly begins in the small house in the forest. Inside the house, Manabu says they at least found a place to stay and suggests they eat whatever food might be stored there for the night. But after checking the containers, he realizes the house is completely empty. The only useful thing they find are some old clothes left behind for both men and women. Manabu then checks outside and finds a well that still works, meaning they at least have drinking water. With clothes and shelter taken care of for now, he concludes that the only thing they still need to find is food. As they head into the forest to search for food, Manabu starts marking the trees with his knife so they will not lose their way back to the house. Iris watches and asks what he is doing, and he explains that it is to mark their path. Seeing this, she becomes shocked and impressed. She comments that he is surprisingly tough, even though he came from a peaceful world. Manabu casually explains that his old company's rookie training was extremely harsh, where they were dumped deep in the mountains and forced to find their way back to the training center many kilometers away. He remembers how brutal that training was, saying it was supposed to build an unbreakable spirit. The company even bragged that no one had died yet, which honestly made him feel like something was seriously wrong. Back in the present, the two continue walking through the forest, hoping to find something edible in all the surrounding nature. After searching for a while, Manabu suddenly spots fruit growing on a tree and excitedly says he found something. Iris immediately recognizes them and explains that they are lyrica fruits, which are safe to eat. When Manabu asks how she knows that, she calmly says she studied a little about the world he would be reincarnated into. Iris shyly explains that studying the world beforehand was not required for her as a goddess. She simply thought it might help the person who would be reincarnated, even if only a little. Hearing this, Manabu smiles and tells her she is really kind, which makes Iris blush in embarrassment and quickly deny it. Manabu gently pats Iris on the head, saying that if that is not kindness, he does not know what is. He thinks to himself that even though it was not part of her duties as a goddess, she still studied the world for someone who would suddenly be thrown into it. Realizing how thoughtful she is, he quietly concludes that he truly married a good woman. Without thinking much about it, Manabu continues softly patting her head. Iris's face turns bright red from embarrassment as she looks up at him, clearly flustered by the unexpected affection. Still blushing from before, Iris shyly complains that Manabu should at least say something before suddenly touching her. Before the moment continues, Manabu gathers the fruits and says they should take them back. Just then, Iris suddenly notices something and urgently warns him to watch out. A heavy impact suddenly slams into the tree beside Manabu with a loud crash. Startled by the sudden strike, Manabu quickly looks toward the source of the noise. A massive creature bursts out from the forest with a furious roar. Seeing the enormous beast stomping toward them, Iris immediately recognizes it and warns Manabu that it is an anger boar, a dangerous monster from this world. The anger boar stomps forward angrily, shaking the ground as it approaches, calmly watching it. Manabu simply says he understands the situation. Then he suddenly asks Iris if they can eat it. Confused at first, Iris nervously answers yes, explaining that the meat of that monster is supposed to be quite tasty. Hearing that, Manabu immediately clenches his fist with excitement and declares that they should hunt it. Iris quickly warns him not to push himself, saying that the fruit they gathered is already enough for her. But Manabu refuses, saying that meat apparently contains all the important nutrients. Remembering a video he once saw about surviving by eating everything, even organs, he decides that this might actually be their chance. Looking at the monster, he notes that it is smaller than him and tells Iris to stay back. Iris nervously asks if he is not scared of the monster. Manabu pauses for a moment as memories from his previous life surface in his mind. He recalls the harsh days of working as a salesman, making hundreds of cold calls while going door to door hoping to make a deal. He once walked into a building that turned out to be a Yakuza office. The men inside mocked him, saying he had some nerve showing up there trying to sell something. He had only stepped inside thinking he might finally land a deal, but instead found himself surrounded by dangerous men. The situation quickly became terrifying as the gang members gathered around him. He suddenly hears a loud noise. A sign nearby even warned that missing quotas is a crime, and they joked that in their company's court, the only sentence was death. Completely overwhelmed, Manabu stood there sweating as the threatening men closed in. Cornered by them, Manabu's heart pounded as he thought about his options. If he backed down, it would be hell, but pushing forward also felt just as dangerous. So in desperation, he did the only thing he knew how to do. He started his sales pitch. With all his courage, he loudly asked if they were interested in investment real estate, realizing he managed to survive even that nightmare situation. Manabu concludes that, compared to facing those Yakuza, fighting the monster in front of him is not scary at all. The anger boar snorts loudly and charges straight toward Manabu. Staring at it, Manabu confidently tells the monster that it is about to become tonight's dinner. As the beast rushes in at full speed, Iris panics and yells for him to dodge. But Manabu calmly says it is fine and moves to avoid the attack. Before he can react properly, the anger boar crashes into him and sends him flying through the air. Iris freezes in shock for a moment before realizing what just happened. Meanwhile, the monster continues stomping forward aggressively, proving just how powerful it really is. Iris runs toward him in panic, calling his name. Even though he is clearly in pain and thinks he might have broken a rib, Manabu forces a smile and insists he is fine. Iris begs him to stop and suggests they look for something else instead. But Manabu refuses, knowing they will be living in the wild for a while. He realizes that if he gives up now, they will not survive. Seeing Iris worry about him only strengthens his resolve, and he prepares himself to keep fighting. Manabu suddenly shouts that beyond giving up lies success, declaring that they must believe the impossible holds possibility. While Iris stands beside him watching, as he moves, his ribs crack, and he cries out in pain, clutching his side. Even so, he reminds himself that in the end everything comes down to guts. Ignoring the pain, Manabu runs straight toward the anger boar and boldly calls for it to come at him. He also reminds himself that in this world, if you lose your temper, you lose. Keeping calm, Manabu suddenly moves and the anger boar crashes directly into a tree. He remembers his old sales mindset, reminding himself that keeping a cool head is the key, even when customers insult or hit you, because you have to stay calm and hear them out to close the deal. Standing over the fallen anger boar, Manabu holds a knife and loudly says thanks for the meal. He even offers a quick prayer before cutting the meat. Then as the tension fades, he exhales and says the adrenaline has finally worn off. Iris rushes over and immediately says she will heal him. Worried after seeing him push himself so hard, Manabu laughs it off and says he looked cool, so he should be fine. but she gently tells him he really overdid it and admits she hates seeing him hurt or suffering. Hearing those words, Manabu falls silent. Realizing it is the first time anyone has said something like that to him. This makes him remember his past, where his parents only told him to study for his future and never be soft. His boss also treated people like tools who could die as long as they produced results. Lying on the ground, Manabu quietly realizes that someone is actually worried about him like that. While Iris sits beside him with a concerned expression, when Iris nervously asks if he is more seriously hurt, Manabu suddenly bursts into tears, overwhelmed by the feeling that she is worrying about him again. He calls her name and blurts out that he loves her and asks her to marry him. As he squeezes her tightly, she reminds him that they are already married from heaven. Another god tries to see what they are doing while calmly eating snacks. As the scene shifts, she directly looks at Manabu, who is still loudly shouting for Iris to marry him, and she thoughts to herself if he is proposing to her again. During lunch break, Skuld lazily sits and drinks. Someone tells her not to slack off just because it is lunchtime and asks why she is not helping, but she casually says she will head there soon for the goddess leader Freya, whom she respects at the house. Iris notices a strange cracking sound nearby, but calmly remarks that she is glad she can use magic. Iris explains that she set up a barrier to keep monsters away at night, so the place is safe. Then Manabu notices a beginner magic book on the shelf and wonders if that means anyone in this world can use magic. Iris explains that in heaven they receive a perk that lets them understand the major language of the world they reincarnate into, allowing him to read the book. Manabu excitedly places the cooked meat on the table, while Iris explains that the seasoning is simple, just preserved salt and larica fruit juice. He is already amazed by how delicious it looks and eagerly prepares to eat. As they begin eating, Iris quietly watches Manabu while he excitedly tastes the meat. He realizes that the sourness of the fruit, the saltiness, and the rich fat of the fresh meat blend perfectly together. The combination makes it incredibly delicious despite being tougher than normal pork or beef. After finishing a bite, Manabu enthusiastically praises Iris's cooking and asks if they even teach practical skills like cooking in heaven. Iris shyly explains that it is not required. Iris quietly started to say that being able to cook might make her look more ladylike. While hearing it, he looks at her, but she goes on by saying that it even might make her look cute. As Iris blushes shyly beside the table, Manabu internally panics at how cute she is. He thinks that this is the best meal he has ever had, especially since it is the first time he has eaten food made by a girl. While happily eating, Manabu loudly praises Iris as his cute wife and even shouts, "Marry me again." Iris shyly reminds him that they are already married. Later that night, after the meal, Manabu sits inside the house thinking that his stomach is satisfied enough as night falls. While Iris washes herself outside, he quietly tells himself that all that is left to do now is sleep. Inside the house, Manabu sits quietly as Iris returns after washing herself outside. Looking at the room, Manabu suddenly realizes that the house only has one bed, repeating it to himself as the thought sinks in. Shocked, he starts panicking and wonders if this means they are supposed to sleep in the same bed. He nervously freaks out since he has no idea how something like that is supposed to work. Lying on the bench, Manabu groans while thinking about his past. He realizes he never even had a girlfriend since he only studied as a student and later worked non-stop at a harsh company with no days off. Because of that, he had no experience with women. While he nervously thinks about what to do and wonders if the guy is supposed to take the lead in situations like this, Iris returns after washing and casually adjusts her hair and clothes, which completely flusters him. Even the new dress she is wearing is see-through in many places. Trying to calm himself, Manabu reminds himself that she is a goddess. She simply responds that yes, she is a goddess. Then she politely asks if she can sit beside him. Iris nudges closer and sits right beside Manabu on the bench, making him stiffen nervously as he secretly notices how flawless her skin is and wonders how someone could be that beautiful. But she is fully flustered, and her face is completely red. as Iris gently calls his name. Manabu accidentally stares at her chest and internally admits that despite telling himself otherwise, he is completely flustered and got turned on. When Iris leans forward and calls him again, Manabu panics and loudly answers yes. While she shyly twirls her hair and blushes, she softly asks what they should do after this. When Iris shyly asks what they should do after this, Manabu completely panics and loudly repeats her words in shock. Blushing nervously, Iris leans closer and repeats the question again, asking what they should do after this. Realizing the situation, Manabu tells himself he is not some clueless rom-com protagonist and understands what this means, since they are married and tonight is their first night together. But he nervously admits that he does not have the knowledge or experience to take the lead. Manabu suddenly remembers his past life, when during his first job visit he panicked and admitted he had no confidence. His boss immediately punched him. The boss then yelled at him to stop whining, explaining that confidence comes from achievements and results. He said that it is impossible to be confident in something you have never done before. Raising his finger, the boss told him that even someone doing something for the first time can still have one thing: courage, because with courage you can do anything. Remembering his boss's words, Manabu decides that even if he does not fully understand it, with courage he can do anything, and finally comes up with an idea, starting with a kiss. Gathering his courage, he gently reaches toward Iris and holds her shoulder. This makes her blush as she looks at him with wide, surprised eyes. Feeling her trembling, Manabu realizes she is still nervous. He gently tells her that maybe they should stop for today. Understanding that they only met today and she might still be scared, Iris apologizes shyly. But Manabu reassures her that it is okay and suggests they wait until they know each other better, which only makes her feel even more embarrassed. Instead, he suggests that they simply sleep while holding each other, though Iris nervously wonders if that is really enough. They soon lie together in the small bed. As they lie close together, her chest presses against him. She shyly asks if she is chubby, but Manabu immediately denies it. As they settle under the blanket, their hearts start racing. His emotions begin to pour out, and he quickly hugs her tightly, which makes her blush, even though they agreed not to go further yet. Manabu shyly admits that since they are married, he at least wants this much. He buries his face against her chest while Iris blushes intensely, her heart racing. As Iris gently rubs his head, Manabu relaxes and says she is incredibly warm. Joking that all his fatigue is melting away, she shyly asks if he liked it and softly admits she would rather he never stop. Holding him close, Iris softly calls his name, and as they embrace each other tightly in bed, Manabu confesses that he loves her. Iris warmly replies that she loves him too. The next morning arrives. When Manabu wakes up, Iris greets him with a bright smile and warmly wishes him good morning. He happily tells her that he slept really well thanks to her, and she happily replies that she is glad. Manabu then thinks to himself that she is already awake early and doing housework. This makes him think that she truly has the calm composure of a mature woman, so he decides not to laze around and goes to chop some firewood. However, it turns out Iris actually could not sleep at all from excitement, which makes sense since goddesses like her do not have parents and are instead born naturally from a sacred tree. Iris recalls how goddesses like her are born from sacred trees and trained in a school to assist the gods in managing reincarnations and different worlds. This means she is basically an inexperienced goddess with almost no experience with men. That is why sleeping beside Manabu left her far too excited to sleep. Thinking back to last night, she remembers how she actually wanted him to keep going after the kiss, but he fell asleep instead. This leaves her flustered and wondering why he stopped halfway. Trying to calm herself, Iris convinces herself that maybe it is for the best and that her husband is simply too cool. But when Manabu suddenly appears shirtless while carrying firewood and casually calls her name, she panics in embarrassment and closes her eyes. Seeing her reaction, he quickly apologizes. She secretly takes a small glance at Manabu's sweaty, muscular body up close, and the sight overwhelms Iris. Meanwhile, Manabu worries that maybe she does not like things being so open, but Iris panics internally, her mind racing wildly. The innocent goddess even starts wondering if just seeing this much might somehow make her pregnant.